The Middle East is on fire, Iran descends into chaos, the Western military alliance enters an unprecedented state of high alert. Iran's most fortified nuclear facility has suffered heavy damage after a precision strike by US forces. The first images from inside have just been released, revealing the extent of the operation's devastation. Immediately afterward, US Secretary of Defense Mark Esper declared that Iran's nuclear ambitions had been completely destroyed, a firm statement that has placed Tehran in a fully passive position. Facing encirclement, the Iranian government has threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz, a vital global shipping lane. However, experts warn that such an action could be a suicidal mission that leaves Iran isolated and facing a full-scale military response. The US promptly raised its alert level in the Middle East. After detecting signs that military bases in Iraq and Syria were about to be attacked, the situation began changing by the hour. Then, the unexpected happened. Iran directly attacked a US base. NATO immediately activated Article 5 of the military treaty, requiring all 32 member states to join the war. Allied forces went into red alert en masse. Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister declared that their strategic campaign in Iran was nearing a major objective, signaling that the operation is in its final stages. The Cold War ended long ago, but today, a direct confrontation has begun. A special bulletin will bring you all the updates shortly. For now, let's take a look at the damage to Iran's nuclear facilities after the US strikes. Ladies and gentlemen, the damage to 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities following US airstrikes is gradually being revealed through assessments by all sides. At a Pentagon press conference on the 22nd of June, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kenny, said that the airstrikes on Fordo, Nastan, and Esfahan achieved their intended goals. He stated that while a full assessment would take time, preliminary evaluations indicated that all 3 sites suffered severe and extensive destruction. US President Donald Trump confirmed that Iran's top nuclear facilities had been completely destroyed. Our goal is to eliminate Iran's uranium enrichment capability and neutralize the threat it poses, he said. Tonight, I can report to the world that this was a successful military operation. Iran's key nuclear facilities have been destroyed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also confirmed that the airstrikes had caused significant damage, but emphasized that further evaluation was underway. We will examine the situation at all costs to ensure no threat remains from that nuclear program, he stated. Meanwhile, Iran denies the US claims of severe damage. Mananri, an Iranian artist and representative of K province near the PH nuclear plant, said, "Based on accurate information, I can confirm that the PH plant was not seriously damaged. Most of the affected areas are above ground and can be fully restored." Another Iranian official said that the attack injured several people, but no radioactive leaks were detected. From the international community, IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi said there were clear signs of an attack, but the extent of underground damage could not yet be determined. He did not rule out the possibility of serious damage, particularly at the Nastan facility. Its surface structures were completely destroyed, and underground rooms lost power due to Israeli strikes. The Esfahan site was also seriously damaged, with tunnels collapsed by US airstrikes. Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles stored in underground complexes were affected. Though backup power systems exist, the IAEA stated that there is no evidence Iran is developing nuclear weapons. However, the Institute for Science and International Security, Washington-based, reported that the main uranium conversion facility at Esfahan had been severely damaged. The report also noted that Fordo and Nastan were targeted by bunker-busting bombs dropped by US B-2 bombers, while more than 20 Tomahawk cruise missiles were fired at Esfahan. US Secretary of Defense Peter Hart stated, "We have destroyed Iran's nuclear program. But note, this operation was not aimed at the Iranian military or the Iranian people." He praised President Trump's bold and visionary leadership and emphasized that this victory was achieved through peace, through strength. Iran's parliament passed a law to close the Strait of Hormuz, but US Secretary of State Mark Rubio called this economic suicide. Since around 20% of the world's oil passes through the strait, blocking it could cause severe consequences for the global economy. He urged China, one of Iran's key trading partners, to pressure Tehran to back down. China has not made any official statements, but has reportedly held closed-door talks with Iranian officials, according to the China Morning Post. Satellite imagery shows that Iran has conducted military drills near the strait, simulating attacks on large ships with speedboats and drones. Saudi Arabia has temporarily shut down the Ras Tanura oil field due to attack threats. The US has detected imminent signs of attacks on its bases in Iraq and Syria by Iran-backed forces. Though no action has occurred yet, tensions are escalating. President Trump announced he is open to regime change in Iran if necessary. Tehran officials stated that 200 locations have been struck by Israeli airstrikes since the 13th of June, killing 200 civilians, including 39 women and 12 children, and injuring more than 800. Power, water, and gas infrastructure has also been destroyed. NATO stands ready to respond if Iran continues to target US bases. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer declared, "An attack on US military bases is an act of aggression against NATO and will trigger Article 5. Iran is rapidly ramping up military deployments, stationing missile systems along coastal regions. Meanwhile, the US is reinforcing its presence in Qatar, deploying additional forces to Al Udeid Air Base. Prime Minister Netanyahu stated, "We are very close to achieving our goal of eliminating Iran's two main existential threats, the nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat."